Hey YouTube, today I'm outside Bricktown Police Station, as this is the latest addition to the town. So let's take a spin around this latest modular police station set. Hey guys, and welcome to Brick Talk TV. Terry here, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the annual modular set. This year it was the police station and it came out on the 1st of January 2021 under set number 10278. The set contains 2,923 pieces, and when you open the box you'll find these pieces spread over 14 sets of bags. It currently retails in the UK for £169.99. In the build experience, as with all modulars, you start building with the base plate. You start doing the sidewalks and the flooring there, then you move through building the building up, moving first to the first floor, then to the second floor, and finally finishing off with the roof. The set contains 5 minifigures, a donut shop worker, a donut thief, also known as a newspaper stand worker, and 3 police officers. There's a female police chief and 2 other detectives. So let's flip over now and I'll talk through the figures in more detail. So here are the minifigures then. First up, as I mentioned, is the donut shop owner or the worker. Seems to be a female lady. She's got a nice expression on her face here. On the front, she's got a nicely printed torso with some stripes going on here, which is repeated on the back. The legs are just plain white. She does have another expression on the back. Both of them are smiling, but this one that I've hidden here is actually of her laughing. So on the front, she's smiling. Currently, she's holding a coffee pot, so she's serving coffee for the donuts shop patrons. And I have her positioned behind the till in the donut shop itself. So that's the first minifigure. Second minifigure to take a look at is actually the donut thief. So this person also runs the newsstand in the set, so they're sneaking away behind the newsstand to actually steal the donuts from the donut shop. He's got a satchel on his side to put the donuts in when he's stealing them. He comes equipped with a large sort of fishing rod or hook, which has a donut on the end, which he uses to dangle down into the shop itself to steal it. And he's even got the nerve to be holding a newspaper tile that actually has on the front that they're looking for a donut thief as they're still hungry. Yeah, he comes in a black cap. He's got a nice red torso, which he's wearing a jacket with a white t-shirt underneath, kind of a varsity kind of jacket kind of look there. And he's got a dark brown set of legs. He's only got one expression, so because he's got a cap and he's got no hair on, you can't hide another expression here. So he's kind of got a sinister look on his face with some stubble. I think this character is actually modelled on the designer of the set, Chris McVeigh, because he's synonymous for having a bit of a beard with a flat cap. So I think he's probably modelled this minifigure on himself as part of that, although I don't have clarity on that, but that's my inclination. So he's the main thief, and I position him normally in the actual newsstand, just in front of it there on my set. Then moving over to the police officers, and as I mentioned, there are 3 of these. I'll start with the police chief. So you've got a female police chief. She's got a mug here, ready to get her next drink. She's got a nice uniform torso on, which is printed on the front. There's nothing printed on the back, just plain navy blue. And she's got navy blue legs. She does have 2 expressions on her face. So on the front, which I've got here, she's just smiling. On the back, she's kind of winking behind her hair, or looking kind of cross, kind of squinting her eyes. And then she's got a nice hair piece on top with a nice bun at the back as well. So she's the police chief that I usually actually position outside so I can see her. Then you've got these 2 police detectives. So this first one here is more of a traditional kind of face going on, just a smiley face. No expression on the back for this one because they're just wearing their hats. There's no hair to hide another expression. They've got their normal uniform on, which is slightly different to the police chief, obviously, because the police chief has got an extra badge to denote that she's the police chief. He is holding a walkie-talkie or a radio there as well, so he's ready to go and solve some crimes. Then his colleague here is more of an older police officer. He's got a moustache on his face, which is slightly grey, bit of stubble going around. Again, no expression on the face because of the hat. There is some printed parts actually on both of these in the back torso, which isn't actually. But there's a small printing on the police chief just at the top of her tunic. And this guy is carrying some handcuffs ready to arrest the donut thief at the first opportunity. So those are the 5 minifigures you get with them. I did like the minifigures. I do like the uniform that the police have actually got on this set. It's kind of a more traditional, kind of reminds me a little bit of the old uniform using like Gotham City or something like that, with the colouring and the flat caps that they've got going on. but I really like it. I've got a couple of police officers in my brick town already that are using more sort of Lego City style of police officers, and I'll keep them in there, but I do actually prefer this kind of style. So I think it looks really good. And I also like these two. The thief as well is really good. It's quite an unusual figure. It looks kind of trendy. And then the donut shop kind of looks like somebody that works at a theme park, like on a candy floss stall. So I think it's very similar to that. So let's flip over now. We've finished on the minifigures and let's start taking a walk through the set itself. So here you go. This is the actual set itself in its full glory. As you can see, it's made up of multiple colours. You've got sort of a green section here, which is where the newspaper stand predominantly sits. There's sort of light tan in the middle, which is the police station. And it's purple and dark or light bluish grey, which is the donut shop. On the front, you've got the standard pavement that you'd normally see. You've got the traditional lamppost there and a bench that's a nice little construction to build at the start. You'll also notice at the front that they've got two bushes, and they've really used some clever new gear pieces here to get this sort of little tree look here. And they're a really fun build. I did also come across those in the recent LEGO staff gift where they've used it to build a Christmas tree. So if you want any inspirations for building new sort of tree or foliage, then these gears are going to be really good. I think for building those kind of things. So what I'm going to do now, I've covered the sort of front area. There's not much to the pavement, but what we'll do is we'll go through and walk through each step as usual, each level, and we'll start off with the ground level and work our way up. So here we are now with just the ground level itself, and we've taken the other two levels off the top here. So as I mentioned, you've got the nice paving out the front, which is a standard I guess you expect from all the modulars that we get. But they've got these really nice steps outside. They're really quite grand, and they come together really well when you actually do get round to building them. I did something similar with a train modular, which I'll stick a link up here if you've not seen the train station modular that I built from somebody else. They've got a staircase like this, but this one actually works a lot better, I think, the way it's constructed. It feels kind of a bit more sturdy and actually integrated more into the pavement outside. I like the way the angles chop off here, so you get some real feel for the staircase. Over this side, you've got this nice little newsstand which comes together. So you can see at the front here, you've got lots of newspapers, a couple of flowers. There are some donuts and things hidden here because obviously the owner of this newsstand is actually the donut thief. Spoiler alert. But the way that they've constructed that is quite nice. You can lift off this lid here, and you can actually get into newsstand to position the newspaper seller if you wish. And there's a stack of donuts in the back there, and then that just clips on top as you'd normally expect with these things. Then over on this side, you can see a nice storefront where you've got these nice donut tiles used to depict a donut sign with a bit of an awning outside here, which is a nice little construction in sort of a brown and orangey colour. Nice glass frontage here. I do kind of really like the style of this purple mauve building here, and the way that the white contrasts really well with the purple as you build it up further. And as you get to the next level, we'll see that more as we go through. Then inside, I was really pleased with how that they constructed the shop. You've got the standard tills you've kind of built in other modulars and things, or mocks that you've seen before, with a nice counter. Inside the counter there is a tray of donuts there, and there's a little sort of shelf at the front where patrons can sit and eat their donuts before they run off wherever they're going. But then at the back, what I really loved was the way that they stacked the shelves. So on the shelves you've got them angled, as you can see here, towards the front of the shop so people can see what's on display. And the way that they angle those and stack up different types of cakes, there's donuts, there's muffins, cookies, all sorts of things stacked up there. And then they use some nice interesting pieces in order to achieve that. And then at the top you've got some lights that are just shining, to highlight the cake. Then as you move into the middle of this part of the building, you've got this nice frontage here. Moving up from the steps, you've got some nice pillars and a nice sign for the police. And again, there are no stickers in this set. Everything you see are tiles that are printed. So all the newspapers are obviously printed. All this police sign is printed as well. So you haven't got any frustration with doing any stickers, which is great. You've got a nice grand entrance here with two glass doors. And as you go through into that, you go into the main lobby of the police station. And of course, any police station kind of has a welcome desk or an inquiries desk. And that's what you're greeted with when you go straight through into this. And what's nice here on this welcome desk is there is now a printed wedge tile that has got a dial face on for a telephone. So I don't think this has ever happened before. I think this is new for this set. So it's actually printed, and you can actually start making telephones now that actually do look like proper telephones. You've got the actual receiver, which is a standard piece that's been around for a while with a clip, and you stick the wedge in front and it looks like a proper telephone. Over in the right corner, you do actually have a water cooler as well. Again, another nice little build there. The way they get the effect of it looking like a water cooler with the cups on the side is also really cool. And there's some water in this jug on the top, so it does look like it is actually a working water cooler. There's a little clock on the wall here, because every police station kind of has a clock at the front, I think it's a standard. And a rack there for the police officers to put their radios on when they come into the station for rest. There is a notion at the back of some steps going down. So because you have to raise up this police station for the steps at the front, there's an opportunity here for the builder to make it look like there's sort of a basement or a way to get down further to get out the back door. And around the back here, there is a back door which police officers can, I guess, either run out into police cars or to bring suspects through. So depending where you position this in your city, if you haven't got sort of a backspace, you probably won't be using this much. But if you do have a backspace, you may want to put a parking lot or holding garage here for prisoners to be led in, so they can be put into position. And I'll take a look at the back in a second once we get round to it. Then this staircase, there's a sort of a prominent staircase that goes up. Now the way they built this staircase I think is genius, because they've used angled pieces that I've never used or thought to use as staircases before, and they've stuck them together. And I won't spoil the technique, but just to say that the way that this staircase comes together was a real highlight for me. And I even commented on my Instagram when I was building it, how sort of obvious, but yet I've never thought of this technique to use for staircases before. So check out for that when you're doing the build. And it nicely just clips into some studs you sort of prepare when you're building the wall up, so it doesn't have to be taking up too much space under here, so it's all quite hollow, but it's nice, sturdy. You could definitely position some minifigs here. And then over this part here, just behind the newsstand, you've actually got the prison cell, and you can actually pull this out. So if I lift this up, you can actually pull out this. This is the front gate of the prison cell, so standard kind of Lego issue prison with some pillars. And then underneath, what you unveil is that the prisoner has dug a tunnel. So when you're building up the sort of foundations of this building, you're building sort of a weird hole through various different pieces of Lego. And what the actual the reason for that is, inside the prison cell here, you can see that there's a bench, and you can lift the bench up, and that exposes a little hole that the thief has dug using a spoon. And there's a spoon that's sort of positioned there to show you kind of an escape from Alcatraz kind of scenario going on. And so I suppose the donut thief, once he's caught, is actually tunneling out, and there's a big tunnel underneath. And so if you lift this up, you can actually uncover that tunnel. There's also a toilet in here as well, standard kind of toilet bowl, nothing too fancy there. But there is a bench as well, or bed, that is on a hinge. So once you put this back, position the door back in, you can push the bed down again. That covers up the hole. And then if I rotate this round at the back, bringing on that theme, you can see here that there is actually the crack here. There's the hole of where the person's tunneling out. So they've not quite broken through yet, but they're getting there. So that's, again, another great little nod to this story that's going on through this set. Got standard bars there. It's actually like a little ladder that they've used to make this window, not the usual kind of fence pieces that you might have used traditionally to build that up. So they're using a ladder piece there. This is the door I was talking about. So when you're walking down behind the welcome desk, this is the door that the police officers can go out, which has a nice little light and a sort of a little canopy above. And here's a ladder which allows the donut shop owner to access the next level. So there's no staircase for the donut shop owner to access the flat, which might be a bit awkward actually. It's a bit weird just to access it using a fire escape, but there's limited space in the shop to put a proper staircase like you get in the police station. You've got a couple of windows as well added on there, and also here to let some light into the police station and into the donut shop. But there isn't too much going on in terms of the back, apart from this little nod to the hole in the doorway. So that's the ground level. So now let's just flip over and we'll take a look at the middle level, or the first floor. So this is the first floor then. So again, you're running up the theme of the donut shop this side with the purple exterior. And I really love, as I mentioned earlier, the way that the white contrasts here with this lavender colour. And I love the way that the window has done this in a nice arch position, and the technique here again used to build this up is really nice, with a nice flower basket. I do also generally think that any sort of modular building, looks 10 times better with any foliage outside. And it's good to see that LEGO have started to do that. So you've got this ivy kind of growing up here. If you check out my other videos for the post office, you'll also see how some foliage is working really well there. And I'll stick a card up here so you can check what that looks like. But it's nice to see that this is starting to come through on some of the LEGO builds now. Then this middle section is actually the police station continuing on. And you can see there's some sort of covers here to stop the sunlight shining in, because there's the offices in here, and we'll go through that in a second. Nice couple of techniques for the architecture here, giving some level of detail on the outside and continuing the theme of these columns going up in a light tan colour. And then this section, which is sitting above the newsstand or the prison cell, is actually just a continuation of the police station inside. So I'll show you what happens inside here. On the outside, you've just got a standard window build with a sort of a flower box here with a couple of flowers on side, just to add some detail. Then if we actually flip inside and take a look, above the donut shop, as you probably expect, there is a flat for the worker of the donut shop to work in. And as I mentioned, there isn't a staircase to access this, so it's only from the fire escape at the back, so they have to walk up the ladder. And I'll show you around the back in a minute, the actual landing area that they can walk into. But in here, at the back, you've got a door to get access from the fire escape. You've got a nice mini build here that builds a record player, which is really cool, I think, and a sort of a stereo going on. Then in the middle, you've got a bed. Again, another build, kind of a standard kind of looking build. And actually, there's a bit of a secret to the bed. So when you rotate it, you can actually lift it up. And that does reveal a hole down into the donut shop. So the theory being that the donut thief can access the donut shop underneath this bed that they've made a hole into, so they can dangle down their rod to pick the donuts up. So we'll put that back down. Then at the front of the flat, you've actually got a nice little kitchen area. There's a cool little sink, and again another little clever little build to build the sink with the taps on top, which is using sort of a motorcycle handbar, and a small little cooker with a little saucepan or frying pan on top as well. And there's a rug that you make out of tiles and plates. And that's just that completes the flat on this side. Then moving over to the police station, which is all the rest of this area here. Again, you've got a continuation of the staircase technique on this level. Again, a really good technique, so do check that out. And that will take you to the next level once you get through. And it's good, it's sturdy, you can position minifigures on here without any risk of it breaking. At the front here, you've got 2 desks where the 2 police officers can work from. So on one desk, you've got a piece of paper, and again, a continuation of the telephone from the front desk downstairs. So you've got a printed tile with a dial on, with a big telephone sat on the desk, with a standard sort of green light. So if you ever look at any American police stations, they always seem to have a green light on the desk, and that's what they've chosen here. And then on the other desk, again, green light is a standard issue there, but they've actually also included a typewriter this time. And again, they've used a printed wedge piece here to give you a typewriter face. So you can see all the keys and things going on. So again, no stickers. It's just a printed tile that you build up a nice mini build again of a typewriter. And then there's a mug for the police officer to drink coffee, 2 standard green seats. And then on the wall over this side is actually an incident map. So, if you're watching any police TV dramas, you'll see that they're putting all the clues on a board on the wall, and they might be connecting things with string or maps with string, so you can see where the villain has struck. And they've actually done the same thing here. So there's a little build to build lots of little tiles and pieces of paper onto a board, and then using a rubber band that LEGO give you, you can connect some pieces together to make it look like you're triangulating an area where the donut thief is operating in, which is cool. Then over this side, you've actually got a standard photograph area. So where all of the criminals come in, or the suspected criminals come in, they can stand in front of a white sheet and they can have their photo taken. So there's the opportunity to position some figures there and take some photos yourself of LEGO figures taking photos of themselves. That's a bit weird. And then at the front, there's just actually a donut on a small shelf, and I think that's probably a couple of jars of coffee or donuts or something like that sat there. So that's probably where the LEGO police officers take their break, just by there. And then that covers that level. On the back, you can see here we've got some standard windows with some edging going on both sides here. just to let some light into the actual main build. And then this is the fire escapes. This is where you come up from the previous level, and this is the door then to get you into the donut owner's flat, which is cool. And then again, another ladder if you want to get up to the next level, which we'll cover in a second. Interestingly, I've not ever seen this before, but in this build here, the internal wall is lower than the rest. And I don't know if there's a story behind that, whether that's some sort of access point for the thief, or whether that was just by design so that the next level fits on properly. But usually with these modulars, all the walls are the same level, and it's interesting that they've chosen to make a wall lower. And it's just something that I noticed. So let's flip over now and we'll look at the second floor and see what that looks like. So here we are with the second level then, and because this modular is different heights on the different buildings, you've actually got part roof here, part actual rest of the police station going on with some other added details. So on the front here, you can see the architecture on this side is where the donut shop ends. And so it's got this nice sort of white sort of small egg piece here, which actually I've never come across before. I don't know if that's a new piece or whether it's just one I've not seen before, but it's really nice to finish off the kind of architecture of this side of the building. On the roof, there's a little vent here. So you've got a couple of grill pieces just to signify a kind of extractor fan. And then you've got this, which I believe would be a water tank on the top here, which has a pipe going down to feed water into the apartment. You also have an addition of a ladder here, which allows you to get access to the top of the roof for the police station. And this foliage is continuing, slightly sticks out a bit more on this level, and it's on different angles, and you can move this because it's on clips, which is quite nice. You can change the look of that if you want to. Then moving into the middle section is obviously the police station continuing up again. So on the outside here, you've got a nice level of detail with the windows. You've got a bird that's actually eating a donut. And over here you've got what I would think would be an air conditioning unit or an extractor fan, because actually inside here on this side, you actually have a toilet, which is a bit bigger than the toilet that I showed you on the lower level in the prison cell. This one has actually got a similar kind of build going on, so it's not too much level of detail with the toilet itself, but it does have a toilet roll positioned here with cylinder, but there's no sink or anything to wash the hands. But it kind of got this extractor fan or air conditioning unit here to make sure that the air doesn't smell, because I imagine police officers are quite smelly. Over on this side, taking up the remainder of this front area here, is an interview room. So you've got just a standard desk kind of build there. You've got two seats facing each other with a coffee cup. And then over on this side, you've got a tape recorder, which is a kind of a nice little addition here. So you use two steering wheels essentially to make it look like there's a tape going round, so you can record the conversations that are going on in the interview room. And there's a window as well inside there, so people can look in and watch what's happening with the interviews. There's a nice little plant as well. So there's a pot which uses the same sort of pot as the toilet, but with some more foliage inside. So it just gives it a bit of a green look on the outside. And there's a couple of plaques here, which I guess are some sort of walls or some sort of symbols, because there's kind of a shield emblem on each of these that you stick on. And then over this side, there is a doorway which takes you into what's under here. So if I lift up this, the roof comes apart. And so inside here, so this is kind of like an evidence room. So this is an evidence room where we're storing all the evidence from thieves that have happened before. So you've got jewels in here, you've got a saucepan, you've got a hat, you've got a couple of bottles of things here, and sort of a tool here, which looks like it might be used to break into somewhere. And that just rests on top. So you build that up like that, and that sits on here. And then of course on this side, you've got this nice advertising billboard that just hangs. So of course it has to hang over a couple of levels. So it's on some hinges, so you can lift it up when it's not positioned on top of each other. These are printed tiles. So again, no stickers. So that's great. And it's advertising the laundromat that was actually featured in the Brick Bank quite a few modulars ago now. So it's advertising that. And of course, there's always that connotation of the lady who ran the laundromat was actually stealing from the bank. So that ties in nicely with the police theme that's going on here, even though she probably is a thief herself. And there's a couple of nice lights here that you build up just to light up the side hoarding here. And that's probably going to look really nice once I position this in the city, just to see some advertising going on there. And that's that level. So let's flip over now and we'll do the roof. So here we go. Here's the last roof piece. And of course, because the other parts of this module are on different levels, the last roof is actually the top of the police station. And on top of here, you've got a notion of an air vent going up the top there, just to get some air in and out. Some antennae, because obviously they use radios, so there's a need to have that. And that's it on this roof. The rest of it is flat. You've got access here, which is the ladder from the previous section, but the rest of this roof is built up. So you've got a notion here, a gap of where the ladder would come up from the previous level to allow access. But the rest of the edge of this roof is actually built up by 1 brick's height, except for the front where it gets up a bit higher. The detail on the front of this building is you've got a couple of curves going on, and there's a couple of sort of Aztec kind of faces going on here, just to give it some interest and a level of detail. It's not too intricate in terms of detail, but it kind of does the job and sort of finishes off the look of the police station, I think. And then that's pretty much all that's going on the roof. There isn't too much to it. So let's flip over and I'll put it all back together as one build and we'll summarise what we think overall of this set. So overall, I think this is probably one of the best modulars in recent times. For me, it outshines both the bookstore from last year and the corner garage from the year before. The designer has done a great job in providing new techniques, such as the staircases I've already mentioned. And yes, there is also a story similar to the detective office, but for me, I'm not interested in the story so much. The set has all the features I'd expect from a police station, and including some mini builds like the desk, the photo room, which continue to add interest for me. Chris also designed the elf clubhouse, and I can see the continued creativity in the detail from this continuing in this set. And if you've not seen the clubhouse one, I've put a review, so I'll stick a card up here so you can check out what that looks like. The negatives for me is probably just the lack of a police vehicle, and maybe at the top level is a little light on detail, but I can understand why they did that, given that the piece count needed to be within certain restrictions. It's good to see that LEGO are back on adding good level of detail inside these builds, as they only come out annually, and I really want to see them packed full of detail so that they're worth the wait. Previous ones for me have been a little lackluster internally, but have looked pretty good on the outside. And I don't really mind personally paying a little bit more for more detail. So my advice to you would be to get this set and enjoy it in your city. And you can build this along with the kids or build it on your own if you're an adult fan. And I think putting it inside any LEGO city will kind of finish off the touches, because a lot of people have been waiting a long time for a police station to go next to the fire station that's been on there before. So for me, this gets a thumbs up. I'm glad I've got it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this into a new section of Bricktown. So I'll be sticking a video on the channel soon where I'm going to be building a new table and sticking a whole host of different sets, together in a configuration which will include this police station. If you found this review helpful, do hit that like button, as it helps the channel get more views and also helps the channel grow. Also hit that subscribe button with the bell notification turned on to be notified of future reviews just like this one. And until next time, stay safe and I'll see you then.